How's it going, guys? Today we're going to be giving a demonstration on how to properly operate the 20-ton pneumatic rosin press, which is developed by MonsterDab. The plate sizes range from 2 1/4 inch by 4 1/2 inch, 4 1/2 inch by 4 1/2 inch, 4 inch by 5 3/4 inch, and 2 inch by 8 inch. If you look at the back of the pneumatic model, the 20-ton model, a couple things come disconnected right out of unboxing. First thing you're going to want to connect is the tube. This tube runs from the air pressure valve over to the air regulator. Very simple to put in. Just simply push it into that grommet until it stops. If you can't pull it out, the connection has been made. Next thing you want to do is attach a digital display which controls the temperature and the timer on the press. Doesn't matter which one you put it in, just make sure they're both connected. They only go in one way. There's the left side, and there's the right side. You want to make sure the digital display is plugged in before you turn the power on. Next step is the power cable, and then of course the power button. Now the ideal amount of megapascals, which is how this particular valve measures the amount of pressure for the hydraulic system, you want to get this up to 0.8 megapascals. Okay, that's going to be the ideal pressure. Now to do that, what you want to do is lift this knob here until you see the orange ring and spin the knob clockwise, okay, to increase pressure. Counterclockwise is going to release pressure from the regulator. Now if you don't get it right the first time, you may have to adjust accordingly. You can feel it getting tighter once it gets to the maximum pressure. So I'm going to stop it about right here. Push that unit back down to lock it in place. Then we're going to attach the compressor after we adjust this, not before. And that one got us up to about 0.6 megapascals, which is not enough. We wanted it at 0.8. So then what we would do in this case is pull this up, release the pressure, remove the air compressor, and then bring it back up a little bit tighter. Reattach the air compressor, get it around 0.8. Doesn't need to be exact, but you want to have it within that range, right about 0.8. Now once everything's been connected on the back side, which means your electrical connection, you have all your tubes plugged in, and the air compressor is plugged in with the correct amount of pressure. Once that's all done, you can turn the power on, okay, which will light up the two modules on the front, the digital displays for temperature and time, okay. Now the first thing you want to do is press the blue set button. This is going to bring you to the temperature. We have this model set at 210 degrees on both plates. If you press set a second time, it'll take you to the seconds that you would like until the piston releases. This model right now is set at 100 seconds exactly. So 100 seconds after it presses, it'll automatically release with no manual release. If you hold the blue set button, it'll lock it in and save your settings. If you keep pressing it, it'll just switch you back and forth from temperature to time. Hold it to lock it in, use the arrows to adjust. Depending on the amount and type of product you plan to press, results may vary. We recommend pressing at a temperature of 180 degrees Fahrenheit to 220 degrees Fahrenheit. We recommend pressing for 80 seconds to 120 seconds. In order to activate the press, both the right hand and left hand side buttons must be pressed simultaneously. This is to ensure no body parts are in between the plates before the press is activated. You don't need to hold them, just press them once. Okay, and there's your press. Now, right now the timer is at 95 seconds because we had it set at 100 to start. So this will release automatically in 90 seconds. For some reason, you have to release it sooner. There's an emergency stop in front, which is activated by simply pushing it in. If you want to release the emergency, you turn it clockwise. Button will pop back out. It's ready to be used again. If you forget to release the emergency and you try to activate the press, it will not work. You have to release the emergency button before operating the press. Now, if you guys want to be able to adjust the speed that the two plates are going to be compressing together, it's very simple. You notice there's a knob right here, which is attached to the pressure regulator on the back side of the press. Now what you can do is turn this knob clockwise or counterclockwise. If you turn it completely clockwise until it stops, the press won't move. Okay. If you want to slowly release the press at a manual speed, you can turn this knob counterclockwise. You'll notice the press is dropping and I can stop it. Okay, if I decide to go more counterclockwise, clockwise again to completely stop the press. When you do release the press all the way down, you want to make sure this knob is open counterclockwise so the pressure can go through here into the piston and give you the full 20 tons of pressure. Now once you're all set up and you're ready to actually press your product, first thing you're going to need is something to put your product in so it doesn't contaminate your concentrate. Okay. Now these are some bags that are also carried with the MonsterDab. Sometimes these bags, they have some strings on them that get loose around the threads. This bag's actually in perfect condition. But if you do see some loose strings, feel free to just cut them off so when you press, they don't pick up your concentrate, take it with the bag. Now the first thing you want to do is turn the bag inside out. The reason we're going to do that is so these threads along the outside don't absorb your concentrate and give you a smaller yield. Okay. Now you want to flip the bag inside out. You don't want to be lazy about it. Make sure that the corners are fully flipped so no material gets wasted on the inside. A lot of people like to use a pen or a screwdriver, something to push it in so it completely goes in. In this case, I'm just going to use my hands. And there's a bag that's been almost completely flipped inside out. Okay. For this particular press, we're going to be using keef as opposed to flour. Just like we would pack the bag full of flour, we want to make sure that the keef is even, not too full, and not flowing over the top. Be sure to leave a ½ inch to 1 inch of space at the end of your bag. Once the bag is filled, you're going to need to fold in one side of the mesh bag in order to keep any excess plant matter from falling out of the bag during your press. Once one side is folded, as you can see in the video, and no plant matter is falling out, feel free to cut off any excess and begin your press. Now for this demonstration, we're going to use a piece of pre-cut parchment paper. You can use any kind of parchment paper from the store or any non-stick material. You want to make sure when you put your parchment paper with your product in between the two plates that you never put your hands in between the two plates. Also, you want to make sure that the parchment paper completely covers the plates. If you leave it staggered like that, product will spill out onto your plate, be a hot mess, be all over your machine. So what we're going to do is we're going to place our prepared bag inside the parchment paper. And we're going to set the parchment paper evenly on the press. Like I showed you guys before, we're going to activate it by simultaneously pressing the two green buttons.